Yeah. Hi everyone, this is episode 13 of the second season of 2OT on the Tiebreaker Times Vodcast family. 2OT is presented by Smart, simple, smart, game-changing, simple, smart kami ni Magu. And this is a recap show of what happened in the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers in the two games between the Philippines, Gilas Pilipinas men, and Thailand. And to help us break down what happened, we have someone who has a lot of deep information about how the training camp went dahil nandun siya, nakapag-training with the 16 official members of the Gilas Pilipinas pool. With us today is Chris Koon, who will be playing for the Ateneo de Manila Blue Eagles in the next season. Not this one, the next season of the UAAP. Chris, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Let me just start with how impressed were you with the performance of Gilas in the two games against Thailand? Because coming into this tournament, we did not expect a lot because of the tight training schedule for Gilas. But did they impress you with how they defeated Thailand in those two games?
They did, but I think I wasn't really surprised. Being at practice, you could tell. I mean, the coaches, they had us really well prepared for Thailand. We knew how they would play, and everything was kind of set to play Thailand. And then just the talent in our team. I mean, all these guys, they're some of the best players in the Philippines. So I wasn't really surprised. I was definitely impressed, though. It was two really big wins.
What about the start of the games did you find different? The first game last Friday, it was a 2-point game after one. This time around, it was an 11-0 start. They just figured it out and never let them off the ropes, huh?
Yeah, that second game, I mean, from the jump, you could tell their energy was way higher than before, and we already had big energy in the first game. But I think definitely, I'm not sure what they said in the huddle, but I think the coaches definitely emphasized not letting up, especially because, I mean, we won that first game, I think, by like 32. We didn't want Thailand to come and catch us slipping, so and that energy from the jump was big for us.
For those wondering who Chris Koon is, I just want to make a quick introduction. Of course, again, we already told you that he will be playing for Ateneo and the next season of the UAAP. He is a 6'5". You play as a guard, right? More of a guard? Yeah, more of a guard, even at that height, 6'5". A two-time John R. Wooden High School Player of the Year awardee. Played for Rolling Hills Prep. And then you enrolled for a year in Cal Poly Pomona, but you were not able to play, correct?
Yeah, I redshirted that first year.
So now you're redshirting currently for Ateneo to give you eligibility for 5 years. You'll be able to play 5 years in the UAP.
5 years, yeah.
All right, but just to get go.
How has your adjustment been so far? You're redshirting here. You're already enrolled, but it's all online school, so you can't really get the feel of that community in Katipunan yet, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely different, but I've been able to kind of get the feel for it with these online classes. But I'm pretty excited to get on campus because when I visited, I really like the campus, just being around the people. So I can't wait for that to unfold again.
Magu, yung nanay ni Chris actually comes from Novaliches. Si Ma'am Iderlina Acosta comes from Novaliches. She was, I believe, 18 or 19 when she went to the US.
Yeah, she actually came as a birthday present. She was able to come to the States, and then she ended up staying forever after that. So yeah, it was all good.
But Chris, was that part of why you kind of stayed in the U.S. first? Because you will be living apart from your mother for a prolonged period of time.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Now, can you just tell us the story of how you were able to join the training for Gilas Pilipinas? Because we found out about the 16-man pool, And then we saw that you were there. We saw a picture from the SBP showing that you were actually there practicing. Were you invited by Coach Tab? Did you present yourself to help them out with their training? How did it go?
Yeah, so I actually decided to go to Ateneo probably mid-September, I'd say, and I was waiting to get news about coming for the maybe there would be a bubble for Ateneo to work out. But till then, I was kind of just wanting to stay home till I was ready to fly out. And then a few weeks later, I got a call from Coach Tab, and he was telling me that he actually wants me to fly out for the Gilas bubble, which I was pretty surprised, but I mean, I was happy to be a part of it, and it was a good experience. I'm glad he invited me.
How do you find that level of competition? Of course, that's just one team, but those are the biggest names and the brightest stars of the college game right now. How did you measure yourself up to them?
I think I fit in pretty well. I mean, these guys, however, they are the top guys. You could tell they know what they were doing, they're experienced. But I was just glad to be a part of it, and I think I fit in pretty well.
Of course, Chris, you won't get to play with Isaac Go and Matt and Mike Nieto. They already, used up their eligibility in the UAAP. But coming in, you'll be able to play with Dwight Ramos. I think you'll be debuting with Dave Ildefonso in the same year. You'll be able to play for Ateneo. How excited are you to actually, be in a team with those guys?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I've seen highlights of them, but being able to play with them and just getting to know them too at the bubble in Calamba, it makes me more excited to play with them. Just great guys overall.
Well, when you get a lot of talent like that, a lot of young talent in one bubble like that, how was the atmosphere like inside that bubble? Was it ultra competitive every single practice, or was it just chill? How was it?
I think it was a good balance, and I think Coach Tab talked about it to us a lot during that bubble, because when you get in between the lines, it's competitive. But I mean, outside, honestly, probably some of the best guys I've ever been around. Just kind people. But I mean, when it comes to playing, it's just competitive, and we all go after it. But when we're off the court, it felt that chemistry it clicked. So I think that's why I wasn't really surprised about the performances as well. They felt like a well-oiled machine out there. That's why I wasn't really surprised with the chemistry. All these guys got along really well.
There were 6 guys that were already familiar with Coach Tab's system, but the rest of the guys came from all of the other schools. That happened in 2 weeks. You're talking about how cohesive they were. That all happened in 2 weeks. How impressive is that?
And yeah, it was. It definitely was a surprise, because I think when I got the invite, we were talking about having, I think, 3 or 4 weeks to prepare, but then it got pushed back because something about it getting passed by the federation. But every day was 2-a-day workouts. I think everybody really bought into their roles and to what we needed to do. And just that one common goal. When you're playing for your country, the goal is to win, and you got to play as a team, no matter what your roles were in your college. This is a different ball game. So I think everybody bought into their role, and I think that's why it worked out the way it did.
Chris, you have experience of getting to know Dwight Ramos before we actually get to see him play, because he was also in Cal Poly Pomona, although you did not get to play against with each other. But just knowing what you know before and seeing him in his role with Gilas Pilipinas, are you surprised that he's already making a huge impact for the team?
I'm not really surprised with Dwight. You could just his manner, the way he handles himself. He doesn't get too high on himself. He doesn't get too low. You can tell he's not flashy. He does everything that the coach wants. People were saying that he had the perfect game, but just looking at the amount of things that he did, and even that second game, I wasn't surprised at all. He's just a great player.
Aside from Ramos, who else impressed you with that young Gilas Pilipinas? Who stood out?
Obviously that second game, Javi played really well, and people were really big on him. But I could see it at practice. He was working hard. Sorry. Another person, I think Matt. I mean, hopefully he gets better from that ankle injury. But
Yeah.
from the jump at the workouts, he was definitely the leader, telling guys where to go, because he knew the system already with Coach Tab. So him taking that leadership role was big, and you can see that in both games against Thailand.
And then seeing everything together, we were able to talk to Ange Kwame after game one. But seeing everything working out together, and then how does that push the team forward? Because you already know that the system put in place by Coach Dong Chico and Coach Tab Baldwin, it works. We saw the results against Thailand. It was a not one of their strongest teams, but it was a team filled with veteran players, professional players. But we still blew them out. How do you think will those two games, the results of those two games, power the team moving forward to the February window?
I think it definitely gives confidence and kind of trust, a little more trust in, I mean, just the people in general, that this team, they're not someone to just take for granted. As the system gets more developed and everybody gets to be more familiar with it, I think it's just going to be even more efficient. And by the time the February window comes around, everybody's just going to be more familiar with it, and we're just going to be better. I think it's not a matter of going backwards. It's all just going to go forwards, and just taking the system from Coach Tab and Coach John is going to be big.
Talking about that February window, would you personally, whether you make the team or not in February, would you like to see this same young Gilas represent the Philippines again, or you think it's time to integrate the PBA guys again within this squad?
I'm not really one to say, but I really like the team. If PBA guys can come in and help, that'd be great. But I really do love this young team. I think there's a lot of potential there, and I mean, you can see it with the results of the Thailand games, and I think it's only more room to grow.
Chris, have you familiarized yourself with, some of the PBA players, at least some of the people who you get to see playing Gilas Pilipinas games?
I'm familiar with Kiefer. I know Kiefer a little bit, but other than that, I haven't really got to know other PBA players. But I know a few of them that have been part of the Gilas before, and we're hoping to be a part of it. But hopefully, we'll see what happens in the February window and what they decide.
The second part of that question is, when you got to practice with them in Calamba, what position did you play? Did you play the point guard position, or were you more of a wing for Coach Tab and Coach Jong's system?
I was playing more of a wing, but I was, he got us to practice. I was able to practice other positions as well, like the one, and sometimes when the big man play like the four. I think it was the system that's in place. It makes everybody interchangeable.
Yeah.
With positions, which is great. It's positionless. So that's why, I think it was good to practice every position.
And now, of course, we're all hoping that everyone's safe in Bahrain. They will be flying out in a few hours to go home to the Philippines. Just how excited are you for the possibility of getting to work out with some of those guys once again?
I'm really excited. Just those 2 weeks alone, I love the guys. Love playing with them, and I'm just excited for them to come back. Hopefully, we can work out once again soon.
Just another question about Coach Tab, because he was a huge part of why you decided to come over to the Philippines, right? What is it about him? What is it about his system that made you buy in and uproot yourself from everything that you know in Cali and just try your luck here in the Philippines?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at his resume, he's been a coach for a very long time. And I mean, the one thing that I've noticed with Coach Tab is he keeps it real with you. He tells you like it is, but he's always rooting for you. And I think that's a good balance to have as a coach. And, I've heard from other people how great of a coach he is. I've experienced it a little bit when I worked out with him. And just those 2 weeks, definitely one of the best coaches I've been around. And that's really the thing that brought me over here.
He's an Olympic coach. There's not many of them walking the face of the earth right now.
Exactly.
Chris, we also told Ange Kwame this. Just by training with Gilas Pilipinas, you had your fair share in helping out the team. So, in behalf of everyone cheering for Gilas Pilipinas, man, thank you for being there. Thank you for training with them. I'm sure you really helped a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And thank you for joining us, Chris.
Of course. Thank you.
I'll see you for the next season of the UAP. We're very excited to cover your games.
Don't be too good.
I'm from Ateneo. He's from LaSalle, so that's all the background that
He's
you need
like,
to know
oh,
about
that's why.
Chris, thank you again and good afternoon to you.
Thank you.
So yun nga po, no? Isa sa mga nakasama ng Young Gilas Pilipinas men's team natin, yung si Chris Koon dun sa Kalambabol nila. And sabi nga ni Carlo, isa sa mga nagbigay ng oras, nagbigay ng effort para matulungan yung national program. Everybody who helps out the program deserves our thanks. Diba, Carlo?
Yep. Kaya naman, binigyan natin ng oras na makausap itong si Chris Koon, get to, introduce him to a wider audience para makilala rin naman siya. Mapasalamatan man lang natin for his efforts na binigay niya dun sa Kalamba. But going back to that game, 93-69 yung naging final score. Another big win for the Philippines. At sabi mo nga kanina, hindi nila pinaporma yung Thailand. That's just a hot start. And then, nakakalapit ng konti because of the free throws in the first quarter. And of course, the performance nitong si Jack Rawan na naghalima with 34 points and 12 rebounds. But overall, it was a comfortable win from the jump for Gilas Pilipinas, man.
Gusto ko doon sa Jack Rawan, lundag, no? Talon lang siya ng talon. He had I think 2 or 3 big slam dunks in that game. Yung isa pa nga off the pirouette. Pero 34 points but was definitely not enough para maka-match up sila dun sa level of talent nga ng ating Gilas Pilipinas. And they look good in those 2 games, and I'd like to see those guys give it another go in February as well.
And yun na nga yung magandang sinabi ni Gilas Pilipinas men head coach Jong Wichico, no? Sabi niya, he was impressed with everyone who played. If you played 10 minutes or 15 or 20 or 30, he was impressed with everyone and how they filled their roles. And that everyone will have the chance to run it back sa Feb. Lahat sila bibigyan ng equal na pagkakataon para makapag-compete for a lineup spot dito sa Feb. Because when we talk to President Al Panlilio of the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas, sabi niya dahil Feb naman, dahil wala namang laro yung PBA, maybe the SBP can talk to the PBA to allow them to get a couple of players here and there to train and maybe be part of the team. Pero it's still great to see na kahit walang PBA players, kayang lumaban ng ganitong klase ng mga batang players ng Pilipinas.
It was supposed to be 1 Indonesia and 1 Korea game in February, pero ngayon baka maging 2 yung Korea game, di ba? 3-0 tayo, 2 over Thailand and 1 over Indonesia. So you gotta play Indonesia 1 more time. Tama ba ako?
Correct.
So yun. So either 2 or 3 games to be played in February. Let's see what happens. Off-season naman ng PBA, like you mentioned, and yung partnership naman ng SBP at PBA is stronger than ever. Yun yung pagkakaalam natin, di ba?
Pero ako personally, I think my favorite story in Gilas Pilipinas was Javi Gomez de Leaño, because personally I was able to see the frustration and the struggles nitong si Javi. He was also part of the pool the last time, pero nakat siya, no? Hindi siya nakasali. And I was also with him when he played for Mighty Sports dun sa Dubai under Coach Charles Q. It was a stacked team na sobrang dami ng mga magagaling na players na kinuha nila doon. Sobrang daming veterano. And he barely got to play. Barely got to see minutes. But he used his time in practice para makapaghasa ng kanyang mga skills, pick the brains of the imports, Ronaldo Balkman, si naturalized Filipino Andre Blatch. And then he used the lockdown para talagang ihanda yung katawan niya to be able to prepare him for the future. Tapos nga, he transitioned into a shooting guard, and we saw the results. 19 points, 2 rebounds, perfect from the 3-point range, 3 of 4 from the 2-point range. Kaya ang ganda nung naging storya nitong si Javi for Gilas.
You gotta love the determination of that guy. Sabi mo nga, after being cut the last time around, which just felt like a lifetime ago already, February pa yun, di ba? That was last February. You gotta love the determination, how this kid really polished this game. And pag nakita mo ang ganun katindi yung tinarbaho at nabigyan ng pagkakataon na ganun, kita mo hindi naman niya pinaya. Top scoring for the Philippines, 19 points kagabi, no? Tama?
Correct.
So, yun, yun yung test of character din. Doon mo rin makikita yung character ng bata. Not giving up on what he really wanted to prove. And ang hirap niya na kasi lalo na yung lineup na yan. Like we said, it's the biggest names, the most talented college kids we have. Kahit nga yung si Oftana, nagka-issue pa dahil yung mga supporters yata ng bata nagagalit but hindi siya na lineup ng first game. Pero ito nga po yung best of the best. It's the 12 best guys. 15 na pag sisiksikin mo ng 12, everybody was given a chance. Si Oftana, 9 points, 3 3-pointers. Ganda rin ang pinakita.
At yung maganda kay Calvin, yung maganda doon sa statement na sinabi niya was he really protected his teammates. Yun yung maganda Team first, yung pinakita ni Calvin doon. Sige, hindi siya nakapaglaro ng first game, but hindi niya, sinisi yung mga nakapasok, yung mga nakapaglaro. He protected them. He said that we all did the same work. We all invested. We all sacrificed. Kaya lahat sila parang deserving for a spot. And you have to trust the system. And Oftana definitely trusted the system. Showed us what he could do in that game against Thailand, in that second game against Thailand.
But you also gotta love that. You have to respect that na yung respeto niya sa laro ng basketball at that age. Usually, madali magmukmok lalo pag mga bata, di ba?
Yep.
We've seen it before. We have seen it before, grown men na nagmumukmok na ganyan just because hindi nakukuha yung gusto right away. But ito, at a very young age, yung respeto niya sa basketball and nandoon na. That's yun yung character na naman It's a test of character. You wanna have guys like that on your squad.
Nakausap ko si Coach Jong kanina sa Viber, just congratulated him. Sabi niya, it was refreshing daw to see, that kind of intensity, that kind of energy from the team. Kasi syempre, gigil lahat from being away from basketball for so long. Pitong buwan hindi nakapaglaro itong mga players na to. Barely got to play 5-on-5 when they were in the Calamba training bubble. So lahat sila gigil magpakita, but they still played a little bit under control. There are turnovers here and there na hindi mo maiiwasan pag talaga gusto mong atakihin yung kalaban, and you can sense that there was still some issues with their familiarity. Yung mga pasang hindi nakukumpleto kasi hindi mo pa basa kung ano yung gusto talagang gawin ng kakampi mo. But these are things that are very easy to iron out. Just give it time. And moving forward, we don't know what the plan is yet. Hindi natin alam kung pwede silang mag-bubble training ulit come January to prepare for the February window. We don't know yet what the government will allow. But in such a short turnaround time, nakagawa ng ganito kagandang performance. So we have to be very excited for what's to come. Syempre, yung Korea is another beast altogether. But again, it's not guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. Hindi natin alam kung sasali sila dun sa next window. Hindi natin alam kung forfeit ba yung game nila this window or isisiksik dun sa schedule natin in the third window. These are still up in the air. But, you know that Coach Tab and Coach Jong will do their best to prepare for Korea and Indonesia in the final window.
Sabi ni Jeffrey Di Malibot, Sir Carlo, isa sa maganda nilang pinakita yung sharing the limelight. Walang kabay mga bata, ganda ng ikot ng bola. Yun nga, because usually pagka bata, gusto magpakilala ng sarili. Para mas tumunog yung pangalan, umangat yung draft stock, and syempre para gumanda yung career mo later on. Pero ito mga to, as Chris put it, everybody bought into the system. Everybody was on the same page. Yun yung kagandahan.
And I think another additional factor to that is they know how good their coaching staff is. You have Coach Jong Chico, one of the winningest in PBA history. You have Coach Boyet Fernandez with what he has done in San Beda, and then you have Coach Tab Baldwin. So in terms of just forming a core of coaches na kailangan mo talagang paniwalaan, that was it. Ganun kataas yung kalidad ng coaches na nagtuturo sa kanila. So of course you'd have to buy in and trust that they have your best interest in mind.
Yeah, so very impressive. 2 spectacular wins by the young Gilas Pilipinas men's squad over the weekend. Kaya 3-0 na po yung kartada natin. 1 win away from clinching. Pagka naka 4 wins, clinch na yan dun sa FIBA Asia Cup, di ba?
Yeah, that's correct. So 1 win this coming Feb, and we're hoping really Maguna na mabigyan yung Pilipinas ng pagkakataon na mag-host ng window. If it's just our group, it's okay. If it's with another group, edi mas maganda, mas masaya, mas maraming basketball dito sa Pilipinas. Pero nagpadala na yung SBP ng official statement that they are willing to host not just one group, not just two, even three groups. Kasi sabi nila kinaya ng Quest Hotel yung 12 teams, and it will be for a shorter period of time pag FIBA window sa Feb. So tingnan natin kung anong mangyayari. We're hoping that they can be able to play here.
Tinatanong ni Brian Scott, next window, possible po ba na may naturalized players tayo? Every window po, possible. But the SPP decided to send all of these college kids para makita natin, masukat natin. Kinaya naman eh. Di ba? Para just to really jumpstart this program, get the program going. And it was a rousing success.
Correct.
But it's always a possibility.
Yeah. And yung timing lang din ng Kongreso, no? Parang syempre alam natin maraming mga bills yung nakapila dyan. We really don't know the timing of yung House of Representatives and yung Senado rin na kailangan magpasa rin ng naturalization itong si Ange Kwame. So we're hopeful that he'll be naturalized by then kasi it will also, jumpstart the process. Mas mapapabilis yung proseso natin in preparing for 2023 if he indeed gets naturalized for the Feb window. But even if hindi, at least nakita natin na palaban pa rin yung mga batang bigs ng Pilipinas.
Etong si Nerlobo nga, nagsasuggest siya ng lineup eh. Magandang hybrid to ha. Juan Gomez de Liaño, Ramos of Tana, 3D kay Soto, Edu, and Paras. Tapos isasama daw si Fajardo, Parks, Wright, Perez, Rosario, and Aguilar. That's a scary lineup, di ba?
Yep, mixture of height and, good shooting. Kaso si Junmar, alanganin pa siguro for Feb.
Baka hindi pa sa Feb.
Masyado pang maaga yan eh. But if you're looking at, somewhere down the line in 2023, that's a very interesting lineup talaga, Magu.
Yun, and this entire program is in the process of building up for 2023. Kaya talagang mas magandang ang mabigyan ng pagkakataon yung younger generation of players dahil by the time, in 3 years time, sila na yung may hawak ng susi ng Philippine basketball, hopefully, di ba?
And yung maganda dito, Magu, there are a lot of opportunities for this team to get better. Umpisahan natin dito sa ginagawa natin ngayon, di ba? FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. FIBA Asia Cup. And then, you have to remember na yung buong qualifying stage ng 2023, hindi na tayo kailangan mag-qualify because we're the host. So it means that you can really invest time and effort in just making sure that all of the members of your team na nakikita mong maglalaro sa 2023, ibigay mo na yung chemistry na kailangan nila. Play them as much as you can kahit na, kahit mag-up and down yung maging resulta ng mga laro, it won't matter because what would matter is the chemistry that they develop together heading into 2023, not the games that are won or lost in the qualifiers.
Paliwanag natin ulit yung difference. Ito pong nilalaro ay qualifiers ng FIBA Asia Cup. Pagkatapos po ng FIBA Asia Cup, naalala niyo yung nangyari dati, 30 plus? We had, ilan ba? Meron akong number nun yung, there was more than 30 Filipino players na nagtulong-tulong, PB players, for the different windows, iba-iba yung naging lineup, yun po yung magiging para dun sa 2023 naman. Ngayon, mas maganda itong pool na to. If you keep them intact, of course, they'll go back to playing for their mother schools and the UAP and the NC and sa mga iba pang liga dito sa Pilipinas. Pero you give them twice or 3 times a year an opportunity na magkasama-sama for the next 3 years. Maganda nga naman talaga magiging resulta niyan.
Correct. Lalo na yung nangyayari ngayon, no, na hindi humahaba yung schedule ng mga liga because of the bubble setup. So you can really devote time and effort to train them together, to play the windows as one unit. So it's a good start. It's a great start. So we have to commend yung Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas, starting of course with Chairman Emeritus MVP, si President Al Panlilio, for just doing this. Because it wasn't easy na-explain na rin sa atin ni Boss Al, di ba, Maguna, hindi naging madali yung pagpunta sa Bahrain, but they were able to find a way na bigyan ng pagkakataon itong mga bata to really introduce themselves to a lot more Filipino basketball fans.
And of course, para sila rin to get that taste of international basketball. Okay,
Yes.
it's our neighbor Thailand, pero yung setting, the entire thing, Carlo. You've been to so many of these. The entire setting of having to travel and this and that, it really gives you the feel. Kahit yung kapitbahay mo yung kalaban mo, pero doon pa rin naman kayo naglaban. So yung international feel nandoon.
For sure. At lalong titibay itong mga batang players ng Gilas Pilipinas. Again, just bright future ahead for the program, for everyone involved. So congratulations are definitely in order. Pinramis natin yung first half of this episode will be a recap of what happened for Gilas Pilipinas. But we have to talk about the PBA Finals kasi bukas na ang game number 2 of the PBA Finals. Barangay Ginebra San Miguel leading 1-0. We'll just take a quick break. Pagbalik natin, we will jump into our conversations about the PBA Finals. Game number 2 will be tomorrow.